On August 15, 1977, at 11:16 p.m. Eastern Time, a radio telescope in Delaware, KO received a signal from deep space that should not have existed. It lasted exactly 72 seconds. It was 30 times stronger than the background noise of the universe. And when astronomer Jerry Ehman reviewed the data printout the next morning, he circled the sequence and wrote one word in red ink: wow. That signal has never repeated, not once in 47 years. Which means one of two things. Either we detected the rarest natural cosmic event ever recorded, something so fleeting that the universe itself only whispers it once across billions of years, or we intercepted something deliberate, something transmitting, something that stopped. And the most unsettling part is not what the signal was, it is what happened in the exact direction it came from. Because when modern instruments finally turned back toward that coordinate in space, they found something that changes everything we thought we understood about silence. The wow signal is not a mystery, because we do not know where it came from. We know the exact coordinate. Right ascension 19 hours 25 minutes. Declination -26 degrees 57 minutes. A region in the constellation Sagittarius, near the densest part of the Milky Way's galactic core. The mystery is why nothing has ever come from that direction again, because in the history of radio astronomy, natural cosmic events repeat. Pulsars rotate, quasars flare. Fast radio bursts echo across galaxies. Even the most chaotic stellar explosions leave detectable remnants that scientists can study for years afterward. But the wow signal appeared once, burned through 72 seconds of observation, and vanished into a silence so complete that it rewrote the rules of cosmic detection. Jerry Ehman was not looking for aliens that night. He was a volunteer astronomer working for SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, using Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Observatory. The telescope was scanning the sky in automated sweeps, listening for anything unusual in the hydrogen line frequency, the universal wavelength that scientists believe any intelligent civilization would use to communicate across the void. What Big Ear detected was not unusual, it was impossible. The signal came through on a frequency of 1420 MHz. That is the exact resonance of neutral hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. It is also the frequency that Earth's own regulations forbid us from transmitting on, because it is so scientifically important that international law protects it from interference. Any civilization capable of interstellar communication would know this frequency. It would recognize it as the universal channel. When Jerry Ehman saw the printout, he was looking at a 6-character alphanumeric sequence, 6EQUJ5. These were not letters. They were intensity values. The Big Ear telescope recorded signal strength on a scale from 1 to 36, where anything above a 10 was considered significant. The wow signal registered as 6, then spiked to E, which corresponds to 14. Then Q, then U, the highest value on the printout scale, representing an intensity of 30. Then it dropped back to J, and finally 5, before disappearing entirely. This was not random noise. It was a sharp, focused transmission that peaked in the center and faded symmetrically on both sides, exactly the pattern you would expect from a narrowband signal originating from a fixed point in space, as Earth's rotation carried the telescope across it. The signal's duration was also telling. Big Ear's observation window for any given point in the sky was 72 seconds. The exact amount of time it took for Earth's rotation to sweep the telescope's beam past a stationary source. The wow signal lasted the full duration. That meant the source was not moving relative to Earth. It was locked in the cosmos, transmitting from a fixed stellar coordinate. But here is where the investigation begins to fracture. Big Ear had 2 feed horns, 2 separate receivers scanning adjacent sections of the sky. If the signal had been real, if it had been coming from space, and not from some earthly interference, both horns should have detected it as the planet rotated. The first horn would have picked it up, and then 3 minutes later, the second horn would have swept across the same coordinate and captured it again. Only one horn detected the wow signal. This is the first barrier. The instrument that should have confirmed the signal's cosmic origin instead left the door open to doubt. Jerry Ehman knew this immediately. In his own notes, he wrote that the single horn detection was troubling. It suggested the possibility of terrestrial interference, a satellite, a military transmission, something earthbound that happened to bleed into the telescope's narrow frequency band at exactly the wrong moment. But no satellite has ever been identified, no military operation has ever been confirmed, and no terrestrial source has ever been able to explain why the signal appeared at 1420 MHz, a frequency that is internationally protected and almost never violated. What are we seeing that refused to confirm itself? Until now, this looked like an isolated anomaly, cosmic fluke, 72-second transmission that arrived once and disappeared into the archive of unexplained radio events. But it was not isolated, because when astronomers began mapping the exact region where the WOW signal originated, they discovered something that should have been impossible to miss. In 2012, astronomer Robert Gray used the Very Large Array in New Mexico to conduct a targeted search of the WOW. He scanned the region for hours, listening across multiple frequencies, hoping to detect any trace of the original transmission or anything that might explain it. He found nothing. But while reviewing archival data from other sky surveys, he noticed something that had been overlooked for decades. The region where the WOW signal came from is not empty. It contains several sun-like stars, and more disturbingly, it sits near a dense stellar cluster where the likelihood of planetary systems is statistically significant. This is not a void. This is a populated region of space where the conditions for life, at least as we understand them, are not just possible, but probable. The barrier that kept this hidden was not distance. It was repetition. Scientists assumed that any legitimate signal, especially one from an intelligent source, would repeat. It would broadcast continuously, or at least periodically, the way a lighthouse rotates its beam. The WOW signal did not repeat, so it was dismissed. Not as impossible, just as unreliable. But what if the signal was never meant to repeat? In 2017, astronomer Antonio Paris proposed a controversial explanation. He suggested that the WOW signal was caused by a passing comet, specifically comets 266P, Christensen, and 335P Gibbs, both of which were discovered after 1977, and both of which would have been in the vicinity of the WOW. Signals coordinate at the time of detection. Comets release clouds of hydrogen gas as they approach the Sun, and Paris argued that this hydrogen could have emitted radiation at 1420 MHz, mimicking the appearance of an intelligent transmission. The theory was widely discussed, was also widely rejected, because when astronomers tested Paris's hypothesis by observing other comets at the same frequency, none of them produced signals remotely similar to the WOW signal's intensity or structure. The emissions were weak, diffuse, and inconsistent. The WOW signal was focused, powerful, and symmetrical. The comet explanation collapsed under its own evidence. Which brings us back to the only other possibility. The signal was deliberate, was transmitted, and then it stopped. Why would an intelligent civilization transmit once and never again? In Arling, Arlene, astronomers Abel Mendez and Jorge Zuloaga published a study analyzing the WOW signal's origin with modern astrometric data from the Gaia Space Telescope, which has mapped the precise positions and movements of over 1 billion stars in the Milky Way. They cross-referenced the signal's 1977 coordinate with Gaia's stellar catalog to determine which stars were in that exact region of space at the time of detection. They identified several candidates, but one stood out. A sun-like star, cataloged in Gaia's database, located approximately 1,800 light-years from Earth in the direction of Sagittarius. It is the right age, the right temperature, it's the right spectral class to host a planetary system. And it was positioned within the beam width of the Big Ear telescope's observation window on August 15, 1977. This is not proof of extraterrestrial intelligence, but it is proof that the source region is real. It is not empty. It is not a void. It is a star system where the conditions for technological civilization are not speculative. They are measurable. And then in 2022, the Breakthrough Listen Project, the most comprehensive search for extraterrestrial intelligence ever conducted, turned the Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia toward the WOW signal's coordinate. They observed for over 30 hours across multiple frequencies. They used instruments thousands of times more sensitive than Big Ear. They scanned the region with a precision that would have detected even the faintest echo of the original signal. They found nothing. But the absence of detection is not the absence of transmission, because if the WOW signal was a deliberate message, broadcast once toward Earth, in 1977. Then we are only now seeing light from that star system as it existed 1,800 years ago. If a civilization transmitted that signal intentionally, we would not know. We would not hear their follow-up. We would not detect their confirmation. Because any response they sent would still be traveling through space, unreachable for another 18 centuries. The most chilling possibility is not that the signal was never real, it is that the signal was perfectly real. And we are the ones who are too late. On August 15, 1977, Jerry Ehman circled 6 characters on a computer printout and wrote the word, "Wow," in red ink. He did not know he was documenting the most famous unresolved cosmic detection in history. He thought he was recording an anomaly, a blip, something that would eventually be explained. 47 years later, it has not been explained. Not by comets, not by satellites, not by instrument error, not by terrestrial interference. The only explanation that survives every test is the one that forces us to confront the most unsettling truth in astronomy. The universe is not silent, it just does not repeat itself on our schedule. And once you realize that the wow signal might have been the only time we were listening when someone was speaking, you start to understand how fragile cosmic contact really is, how easy it is to miss, how much of the universe is transmitting in frequencies we have not invented yet, at distances we cannot bridge, in moments we are not paying attention. We assume that if intelligent life exists, it will broadcast constantly, endlessly, waiting for us to notice. But what if civilizations transmit once, as a test, and then listen? What if the wow signal wasn't just a hello, but a question, and we never answered? Subscribe to Universe Uncovered, because the universe is not empty, just does not wait for us to catch up.